Hello there, and welcome to the Scruffy-Looking Nerd Herders podcast. I am your host, Tyler, bringing you all things nerd and geek-related. And on this episode, I'm going to be discussing different topics from gaming about the new Spiderman game and the downgrades that fans are complaining about in the graphics department and the developers' response to those complaints. And I'm going to be discussing different topics also including the most recent casting news for the new Star Wars Episode 9 movie. And welcome back. Now, first topic of discussion is going to be the new Spider-Man game for the PS4. There was a Reddit post that gained a lot of steam, and basically fans are comparing the size of rain puddles, or water puddles in general, from the original trailer from E3 to what is seen in game, and they're saying that the puddles are now smaller, and their complaint is that there's a downgrade in the graphics based off of that for performance issues. And I don't know, I'm just kind of baffled by this. I remember growing up and being stoked that, you know, there was Mario Kart for the N64, and I don't know, I feel it's so weird in this day and age that we live in with gaming, that especially with how ultra realistic some things can look, and people are still complaining about graphics. It's weird to me. But Insomniac Games responded with a tweet, and they said, "It's just a change in the puddle size. There's no downgrade at all." And then community manager James Stevenson said in his own tweet that the puddles being moved had nothing to do with performance. And fans' response was, then why remove them? And he said, pretty sure it was a design, art, usability reason thing, and it definitely wasn't performance, as we have spots with tons of puddles in the game with no performance issue. I feel like, I don't know, this kind of goes into what I was talking about in the last episode of fans with outrage over things that just aren't things to be outraged about. I feel like there are much better things to be outraged about than the size of puddles in a video game. I don't know. But what do you guys think? Do you think that this kind of thing is important in gaming? Do you think that the size of puddles, or do you feel, because I know like back with The Division, there was, you know, issues. I believe it was The Division. I remember it was a Tom Clancy game of some kind. But I remember there was a problem with the E3 trailer reveal showing the seamlessness of certain things, and like the how the world was going to interact and how you would interact with the world and stuff like that, rather, from E3 versus what we got in game. And I know a lot of fans were upset about the quality of that, comparing the two and the graphics and everything like that. But I mean, honestly, I really enjoyed The Division. I thought The Division was a fun game. Me and my friends and I, we found a lot of enjoyment in it. And I don't know, like for me, I play games for fun and story and playability. And I mean, I don't know, like there's millions of people that still play MapleStory, and that's a pixel side-scrolling game. So I mean, I feel like that kind of graphics shouldn't matter, you know, like aesthetics are secondary to story and fun. It's how I've always perceived it. But what do you guys think? Do you think graphics are important this day and age with technological advancements in gaming that we have? Or do you think that it shouldn't really matter, and that it should, like, performance is more important than graphics? Because I do know that if you overexert it, it will run choppy and laggy. You'll get, you know, jaggy shades, and, you know, the shadows won't look good like that. I know, because that was a problem with the first Mass Effect game, at least on the 360. It would have jaggy and choppy shadows and stuff like that, because they were more worried about, you know, the textures and HD models and stuff like that, rather than playing, you know, for performance of the game engine that they were running on and the console. But what do you guys think? I know I've asked that 3 times already in the segment, but I'd like to know, do you think graphics are important? Or do you think that it should just be secondary to performance so that way you can actually enjoy the game and play it? I don't know if you heard that or not, but my kitty cat, Loki, would like to be on the podcast, it seems, too. He's making his presence known. I guess Loki is essentially my first guest on the podcast, so he holds that spot now. In other gaming news, FortNite for Android. Now, I've seen a couple posts, and I don't remember which website it was that ran with this article first, but I saw a post. Players are essentially going to phone stores, and like they're going to the in-store Nexus devices, and they're logging in with their accounts, and they're unlocking the Nexus exclusive skin for the FortNite on Android, and I think that is kind of hilarious. Gamers trying to find a workaround for the system. I find that extremely amusing, but also I had seen reports that Epic is actually going to be ditching Google Play, so that you won't be able to get the game on the Google Play Store. You'll actually have to go to Epic's website to be able to download FortNite for Android. And the CEO of Epic Games cited an economic efficiency by bypassing the Google Play Store's 30% cut on sales, because I'm going to be honest, like, they know that FortNite is a cash cow at this point. Like, they know that they can get that money. They know that, and that 30% is going to be huge on their take of what they're going to get off this game. Because it's like probably $1 billion industry at this point, with how many people, how many kids, players are playing this game. Like, it is insane, you guys. Like, FortNite is like a huge phenomenon. It's like the next wave of Minecraft. Because I remember when Minecraft came out, people were like ridiculous about Minecraft. And FortNite is the new Minecraft at this point. It's insane. And just to kind of throw some numbers out there, FortNite on iOS made $15 million in its first 3 weeks on the market. So it's pretty reasonable to assume that on Android it's going to make the same, if not more. So 30% of 15 million, that's quite substantial. Now, my only concern with this, and it's probably going to be probably the only reason why I won't download it on my Android phone, is that once you circumvent the Android Play Store, like the Google Play Store, and you go around like that, and it's essentially a third-party app, it no longer has the certain protections that are set up on the Android devices for apps accessing certain things and stuff like that. So it definitely might open up the door to potential security risks on people's devices, and that's just something I don't really want to bet my device on. But I also do understand that there are some people who, have throwaway phones that's what they typically play their games and stuff like that on. But my only concern would be using credit card information, debit card information, PayPal accounts, stuff like that on those kinds of devices on Android, since they are circumventing that Play Store security. But the CEO did say that he's confident that Android will be similarly successful as it was on iOS. But most importantly, mobile operating systems increasingly provide robust permissions-based security, enabling users to choose what each app is allowed to do, like save files, access your microphone, access your contacts, etc. But in his view, this is the way all computer and smartphone platforms should provide security, rather than entrusting one monopoly app store as the arbiter of what software users are allowed to obtain. So I don't know if, that's I kind of get the feeling that they're probably going to be looking into that kind of stuff and essentially kind of creating their own version of a Play Store for mobile gaming. I know, like, they have, like, their own launch pad on, like, the desktop, and, like, I'm pretty sure probably Mac as well, for Fortnite, and all their different, the Epic Games launcher. So, I mean, I'm sure they probably have an idea of what they're doing, but I also do know, when new stuff comes out, it's going to have an influx of people on the servers, and, honestly, I feel like the servers are probably going to crash. But let's hope not. I hope it's successful, because I know it's kind of a basic normie thing to do, but Fortnite is extremely fun. I enjoy playing it. It's a blast, even though I completely suck at it. So next up in gaming news, this is something that I've kind of discussed with friends before, and I don't think I really discussed it on the podcast yet, but back in April of this year, the Netherlands Gaming Authority concluded that loot boxes essentially are going to be considered a form of gambling, and game developers had until mid-June to adjust their games. But it was essentially just the other day, actually, Blizzard announced that they will be removing all loot boxes from Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm for Belgian players only in order to remain in compliance with Belgian law. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's I don't see loot boxes as gambling. I see it as, I don't even see it as pay to win. I see it essentially as like buying a pack of like Magic cards or Pokemon cards, or like the mystery, figure toys that you get in the boxes. It's like, it's the same thing. And furthermore, especially in games like Heroes of the Storm or Overwatch, they're cosmetics. Like, they're not like game-changing things. Like, they're not, they don't affect the outcome of the game. They're Loki really wants to be on my podcast. They're not game-changing things. Like, and I don't feel like it's gambling. I don't feel like it's no different than buying DLC packs of items. I don't know. But Blizzard did say in a statement on their forums that while players in Belgium will no longer be able to purchase paid loot boxes in Overwatch and loot chests in Heroes of the Storm, they'll still be able to earn them by playing the games, and they'll still have access to all in-game content. I don't know. I just see this, like, the hate on loot boxes as like a blind hatred, similar to how people see EA. It's just like this blind hatred that, while it's not ethical business practices, it's not game changing. Like, it doesn't destroy the game. It doesn't ruin the game for someone else. It's just cosmetic stuff. Now, I remember, like when Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out, there was, a huge force of fans that were completely anti Star Wars Battlefront 2, and it showed that fans can have an effect on a corporation's behavior, because they pulled loot boxes from Star Wars Battlefront 2. Paid loot boxes. They pulled paid loot boxes from Star Wars Battlefront 2. I play Star Wars Battlefront 2. The stuff in the loot boxes that you can get for your characters, even after they pulled, I didn't see as game breaking. I got into the game late, and I had very low level items, and I was still